Deluded. Same stuff, different day, different location, but nonetheless there's football content to talk about. I'm all over the place, I can't lie. Where I normally go, people are sitting down in the chair, but what can I say, they beat me to it. Either way, rain, sun, whatever, I'm still gonna make vids, whether indoors or outdoors. As you know, I'm in my lunch break, got everything. Look, let me quickly bag there and whatnot, so I'm a bit all over the place, but a couple things to speak about in relation to Arsenal. Again, you lot know me, I just can't stay away from this thing. First and foremost, we'll start off with David Luiz. Now, personally, people, with David Luiz, obviously you want him to cut out the individual mistakes, but I accept the individual mistakes. David Luiz, not that I accept it and I'm happy with the mistakes, but I think when we signed David Luiz, it's an open book. He's played in the Premier League for a number of years now for Chelsea. Yes, he went to PSG and then came back. We know what Luiz is. We know he's definitely less error-prone than people give him credit for. But like you saw against Liverpool, he's going to be prone to their moments at 32 years of age. If they're not, it's not a criticism, it's probably a fact. If they're not out of your game now, they're always going to be there, people. So I'm prepared to have him and make his mistakes and whatnot. Obviously, his pros are he's a good ball player in terms of what Emre wants to do with his philosophy of playing out from the back. The main thing I like about him is that he's vocal. Whether he makes a mistake or not, he's very vocal. And it's known that he is a good guy off the field. He's one of them, obviously a lot of footballers you'd think behave like this, but he's one of them. If he wasn't a footballer and you wouldn't know it was Luiz, he treats everybody with respect. I mean, if you go and look at his restaurant, people, I can't talk too much, but in my professional life, I've come across David Luiz, not face to face, but I've come across the sort of person he is, and he's a very good person, and he is a big character in a positive sense. And you've obviously heard Reece Nelson talk about how he's trying, basically he's trying to drum it into him to, first and foremost, because of the position he plays and just being a young player, to take risks. And second of all, if you make mistakes and take risks and you make mistakes, it's not that deep. And I like that, man. We need characters in the dressing room, and I like that from David Luiz, to be fair with you people. Like I said, if he can get the mistakes out of his game, then he'll be a good player, but I'm prepared to accept that, man. I'm prepared to accept Socrates and Luiz for the next couple of years. Obviously, I want Holding and Saliba long term. Obviously, there's talk of Upamecano and all of these sort of things. So I thought I'd mention that. Moving on, and I'm probably going to have to do another video about this. We're looking a bit too ahead, people, but we've got fixtures coming up after Watford. First and foremost, in the week, that following week, we'll have our Europa League campaign. We'll start away to Frankfurt. And then I believe we obviously have Nottingham Forest within the Yarabel Cup, which for some of the young players, potentially squad players, that presents an opportunity for them to first and foremost get some football, show them really what they can do, and kind of take their chances. Because for me, again, it's early, but I'm looking at Martinelli, to be fair with you. He hasn't played in the 23s, so we know he's adapting to first team football, he's training, we're taking our time with him. The first 6 months coming to a new country at his young age, we've got to take our time. But I'd like him to start, if not both, I'd like him to start in them games. I mean, it would be good for the fans to get behind him, and him to, definitely in the Europa League, it will present a good opportunity to test himself against a good level opposition in Frankfurt. Obviously play football for Arsenal Football Club and just test the waters a bit. I am looking to Martinelli to obviously play in that game against Frankfurt. I would play Martinelli, Emil if he's fit, Emil Smith-Rowe. Saka would be in for me. Obviously Nelson and Joe Willock are likely to play. I would like John Jules between the two of them games as well to get some sort of football. I'd really want him to make his professional debut. He's been on the cusp of the first team. Obviously he was on the bench in the Europa League last year. And we know at least for the group stages, there will be opportunities because the fixture pile-up is coming now. Probably in the league, you're looking at it. In our next 12 games, I don't think we have any of the top 6 to play, people. So you could say now's the time to build momentum. But the games are going to come thick and fast. Fatigue, injuries, rotation, these are all things that are going to come into play very soon. So these young players have to be prepared to take their chance when it comes. They've got to be patient, but they've got to take their chance. Definitely against Frankfurt, I really want the usual suspects in Xhaka, Martinelli, John Jules, all of these sort of players to play, people. Against Forest, I would like to see John Jules start. He probably won't, so it'll be Lacazette or Aubameyang. I would like to see him start. Would like to see Burton. I think Burton started off the season in good form. I'd like to see Burton. I think Balogun, he scored a hat-trick at 23's level. He could play his way into contention on the bench and whatnot. Of course, we'll come back revert over this topic when these fixtures come, people. But I just really would like to see the young players, especially Martinelli, get a look in them 2 games. As they will, there will be a lot of rotation. I mean, Holding's working his way back to fitness. we hear Kieran Tierney and Bellerin, they want to be back for the game against United at the end of the month. But if they are ahead of schedule, could we look to the Frankfurt games and Forest games to play Tierney or play Bellerin or even Holding? That you'd like to think. I don't know if Emery's going to play him at Watford away. There's cause to say yes, there's cause to say no. But definitely in the next 2 games, you'd like to think there's 180 minutes for Rob Holding to get back to full fitness and work his way back to being in the top condition he can and help us in regards to our season, people. So there's that. Away from that as well, people, you've obviously, apologies, people, my hand, I'm not going to lie, my hand is killing me, people. So if I rotate, you've got to allow me, we're not in home situations. But moving on from that, and Guendouzi's agent has spoken about why he left PSG and his move. Before even speaking about his comments, it's been backed up. He obviously left to join Lorient to develop himself, to get first team football. And it's been backed up. He's left PSG, he's gone to Lorient, he's come to Arsenal, he's been in the French squad. He hasn't played, but he's been in the French squad, and he's played a significant amount of times for Arsenal, more than Lorient. So his moves are backed up. If he was at PSG, probably would have been around in pre-season, but would he have been sold? Would he have been released? Would he still be in the reserves? You don't know. We can only deal with the facts, and he took a leap of faith. And I know for our English youngsters, we're seeing them start to do that thing and leave big clubs. But he said, after there were peculiarities in relation to his playing profile, he was relatively... Oh, sorry, let me start again. I missed the line now. When Matteo left PSG, it was to try and find playing time as quickly as possible. After there were peculiarities in relation to his playing profile, he was relatively frail at the time, and PSG relies on more athletic profiles, including Boukari Samoure, I can't pronounce his name, but I'm going to do a vid on him, who now plays for Lille, who was competing with Guendouzi. So that is true. I mean, PSG do have some lovely technical footballers. You look at Ashish, you look at the players that have come through, but if you look at them, if you look at the Akones and all of these sort of players, or just their players in general, they're quite strong lads, they're very fast and whatnot. Guendouzi's more gracious and things, and Guendouzi probably was behind in terms of his physicality and stuff, even more so as a young player. We all know, as much as I love Guendouzi, one criticism or one room for improvement could be his physicality and how he defends, and just in terms of being a bit more ferocious in possession. His strengths are more gracious. So obviously when you're competing with these guys, it's tough, but he got out of that situation and now he's playing people. On the topic of Boukari Samoure, shout out to my man, on Boukari Samoure, I've done a video about him before. He's 20 years of age, he plays for Lille, who we have good relations with because we bought Pepe. He's 20 years of age, he can play in midfield. I'm not watching him religiously, and there is a bit of development in my opinion in regards to the scope of defender he potentially can be. But I think he shows a willingness to win and retrieve the ball back. He's got a decent distribution of the ball. He's got a decent engine. He's contracted until 2020. He's 20 years of age. Potentially could be someone for Arsenal to look at. I'm going to watch him and review him even more under the seat over this course of this current campaign. But he's potentially someone to look at. He's 6'1" as well, so he's got a bit of height. He's not the tallest, but he's got a bit of height to him. Moving on from that, and you've also seen Xhaka and Aubameyang now, they haven't been fighting each other and whatnot, and it's something of nothing. And the media will write these stories and stuff. But I saw someone ask for my opinion. Now, if you haven't seen, Aubameyang liked a post on Instagram in regards to negatively critiquing Xhaka. Now, Aubameyang does that quite frequently, and maybe that's an accident. Maybe we don't know why he's like them, but he could potentially be a bit smarter with that. But apparently, it was calling for Xhaka to leave the club in which he liked it. Again, can't read into nothing. Let's not invent a story where it's not. But that does cause for concern, because even if you look at Xhaka's comments, I don't think Xhaka was blaming his players and whatnot, his teammates and stuff. I don't think Xhaka's an individual like that. But his comments in relation to they only focus on the mistakes, they don't focus on the chances we had, could be interpreted as that, okay, our attacking players didn't pull their weight, which is not necessarily wrong. We scored goals, but we could have taken our chances, but we can't get away from them defensive errors. He said nobody talks about the chances. We did have chances, but the facts are we didn't take them chances. The attackers had hold their hands up. The facts are you made mistakes. We have found ourselves sitting in the same position saying, if we did this, if we did that, if that never happened. The facts are it's individual mistakes, and I'm not trying to be negative, but it's the same following on from against Liverpool with Luis, so it's a different individual. And then it's Xhaka. I do think people, obviously Xhaka's mistake was worse than the first, because there's no defence for that penalty, so it will be spoken about. And obviously Xhaka has his own criticisms within the fan base, so he will be rightly or wrongly targeted a bit more. But my thing is Luis, Socrates, Xhaka, Leno, it's a constant theme from last season of individual mistakes, and we've got to improve at that. There's 6s and 7s as to why we didn't win or lose that game, but we win or lose together. And I don't think Aubameyang wants Xhaka to leave or thinks any ill of Xhaka, and I don't think the same for Xhaka. But obviously when you leave comments, ambiguous comments, and when you like things on Instagram, you give people scope. It would be interesting to obviously know what the players felt, why they lost that game. I'm inclined to believe our team, we recognise our defensive errors, but our team is more of the belief that it was a thing where we didn't take our chances, because even a lot of the post comments from the players was more focusing on the opportunities and not necessarily the defensive errors of that game. Dogs behind me, people coming and ramping. But yeah, that's it really. I've got nothing more to add on that front, so I'm going to get out of here. My hand is killing me. I don't know how I'm still holding this up, but people, thank you very much for tuning in. DG.